Crypto markets have been pumping. Stick around to find out why. We got the TA experts in the house. Question everything, trust nothing. Welcome to Debate Crypto. It's your boy CryptoKeeper, and we are here for Debate Crypto. It has been a while. I hope that everyone has been doing really well. It's Thursday. It's TA Thursday. No change with that. I do apologize for the couple weeks off. I was in Brazil. I was kind of taking a little bit of me time, spent some time down there, really enjoyed myself. We'll talk about that a little bit in a second. But we're going to dive into it. We're going to get into TA. We're going to figure out why the markets are doing what they're doing. In fact, I'm going to have the guys update me because I have been paying absolutely zero attention. So let's get into it. Let's kick it off. Who we got in the backstage? We got Mr. Evan Aldo. Evan, what's going on?
Doing well. Enjoying the volatility.
Glad that you're here. Yes, we do like volatility when it comes to trading. And as always, Magic Internet Money. Magic, what's going on?
Just trying to get big like you, man.
Yeah, dude. Hey, listen, we both got the cutoff on. You know what I mean? I see the little chest separation you got going on in there. So you're doing your thing, bro. You're doing your thing. So, Crypto fam, if you haven't already, make sure to smash the like. It's YouTube. That lets everybody know you're enjoying the content. I will try to shake off some of the rust as it has been a little while. All right, before we dive into the actual markets, gentlemen, I have been gone for literally like 12 days. Crusader, shout out to Crusader. I don't know if he's watching or not, but I'll make the announcement for him. He had his second baby, beautiful little girl. So congrats to him. That is the other reason why you haven't seen us. He's got that going on, obviously, and he's got his hands full, and I have been on vacay, as Crusader likes to call me, the travel keeper, and wants to know when I'm going to start my travel vlog. So I'll keep you guys updated if I do that. All right, so gents, talk to me. Evan, I'll start with you. What the heck did I miss? I've been gone for about 12 days. Can you give me a high level overview of kind of what's been going on, what we've been kind of seeing?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm trying to remember if you missed out on kind of a lot of these altcoins, such as Avalanche making lower lows. Was that 12 days ago? Let's see, that was on June 5th. Okay, so you were around when Avalanche made a lower low.
Okay.
And we've been seeing the continuation, Bitcoin dominance rising. These are kind of the boring parts that no one cares about. Bitcoin dominance coming up. And then we're seeing the continuation also of ETH bleeding against Bitcoin, as we've been predicting. But the fun part here, we saw Bitcoin go straight up, from a few days ago. This was a nice, I had a nice long out of this too, nice 12%, nice. Kind of gain up to this point. We're hitting a major point, 30K is a major area right now. What you see sometimes, I mean, it's kind of to, ask me, what I would say here would most likely happen. They'll probably find a way to make the price go up higher, 31, maybe hit this trend line right here. 31.3. These are big points kind of into the weekend. We're probably going to see a lot of choppiness. Will we get up to 35K? That's the big question. There are some things that would potentially tell us it's possible, such as I believe you got a trigger wave on the 6 day. But keep in mind, you do have some gapped RSIs right here, and these do tend to kind of bring you down. So it could be something similar. If we go on our weekly, let me go on a cleaner chart here. If we go on our weekly, right here, look at this jump up, and then look at 2019 in the second half of kind of 2019. That was the top there. Then you had a jump up. You got close to that top again. But after that, you were kind of on the way down. So hate to be the bringer of bad news here and be all pessimistic, but it would not surprise me at all if we do see a decent drop down from where we are to kind of fulfill this prophecy. Keep in mind, second half of 2019 had some insane volatility. This was a 40% drop down. This doesn't look like much, but this was a 40% jump up. Then after that, you had a 38% drop down. So this could be like a roller coaster, man. This could be like a roller coaster.
All right, interesting. I'm not actively trading that often, but I wish actually that I probably was at that point, assuming that I was using your guys' expertise. Maybe I could have made some money while I was gone. I talked about it before I left, but I got liquidated on a freaking trade in which I tried to move. I was basically I got a suggestion. Hey, just move your stop up so that you're just in profit on that. And I had a nice little bit of profit, and I wasn't home at the time. And CryptoKeeper at his best, ADD man right here, I just kind of forgot that I was supposed to do that. And so I ended up not only losing on that trade, but losing hard, got liquidated. Before I shoot over to you, Magic, I want to jump into the chat since it's been a while. Forget about it. It's first in the house. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Justin Eubanks, David Brumblebow. Good to see you, brother. We got Kenton and Puddles. And, well, Magic is jumping in the chat. DJ, good to see everybody. Glad that you guys are here. All right, so he kind of gave us a high-level overview of what he sees going on chart-wise. Magic, I know you don't pay a lot of attention as it relates to the overall news, but is there anything in particular that maybe you could point to of information that you heard in the last 12 days or so as to why, maybe news-wise? I know I'm asking you a news question here, but maybe why we saw some market volatility?
I mean, a lot of people are going to attribute it to the ETF. You know,
Okay.
there's a lot of people are going to say the rumors of the ETF. That's what's flying around is rumors, and rumors do move markets occasionally. Yeah. So it just happened to coincide with a mean reversion back to a quarterly level, like a quarterly pivot that we knew was going to get hit more than probably. And literally as it hit it, the news drops, everybody gets scared. Then all of a sudden everybody's excited again. It's kind of the crypto space in a nutshell. They go from, hey, we're going to 20K and 10K to we're going to $1 million.
We're going to the moon.
Within like 3 days. So yeah, I mean, that's really what I would attribute to if it was a news wise. That's all I've really heard about, you know?
Yeah, I heard some news. I did hear about the ETFs. I also heard that a number of different, and maybe Evan, you know who this was, but a number of different companies not only had the ETF thing going on, but are opening their own crypto exchange. Did you hear about this?
Oh,
Was
yeah,
that's Citibank, Fidelity.
Fidelity is open and trying to open it. As far as I know, maybe Magic knows a little bit more than me. Fidelity's trying to open the ETF. BlackRock as well. That's the big news, and that's what I think. I forgot to mention what I think was a lot of this jump up was because of that, especially for Bitcoin too, because it's more clarity. I think there was another. What was that other company? It's mainly for whales though. The one where it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, I believe, and Bitcoin Cash are like the ones on this list for the other one, which is kind of just continuing what we've seen, in 2019 as history repeats, but a big catalyst for altcoins to just keep bleeding against Bitcoin, and probably will make it so next bear market is where Bitcoin Cash finally goes to zero.
When it finally goes to zero.
Not this
time. I think what I had heard though, not just the ETFs, but I had heard that they were actually trying to open. Somebody was trying to open an actual like crypto exchange on their net. Is that not correct? Magic, do you know?
I feel like I glanced over this. You know how I am about news. Unless someone like brings it to my forefront and like shoves it down my throat, I'm not really.
Let's ask the chat. Chat, did anyone hear about a TradFi, traditional finance company, trying to start an actual crypto platform? I believe that's what I heard. I did not read an article. I think maybe Crusader and I were talking, and he mentioned it. So if you know about that, drop that in the chat. Would love to hear it. Let's kick it off. Let's take a look at the overall global market cap. Let's see where we're at. We have the global market cap at 1.17 trillion with a T dollars. That's down 0.15%. Let me actually update this, see if this is on point. Yes, it is down 0.15%. Bitcoin up over 30K. Love to see that. Gentlemen, did I see Bitcoin hit like 30,800? Am I delusional, or did we see that briefly?
You did.
Okay.
Yeah,
30,800. I thought so. Okay. So we're at 30,094. That's up 18.2%, ladies and gentlemen, on the week. Love to see that. Pretty flat today. Ethereum at 1886, up just a hair today, but up almost 13% on the weekly. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've been around for any sort of time, you know how this goes. Bitcoin pumps, it leads ETH. ETH kind of lags behind, and then generally it'll get its bigger move on the tail end. That's just how it goes, and then alts will follow behind that. BNB trying to make a recovery after all of the chaos happening with Binance, so it's down at $244. God, that has taken an absolute beating. XRP just under 50 cents. Any other big movers? Yeah, Solana had about a 15% move over the last week. And then hold on a second. Tron as number 10. Where did this come from? Tron? Is there something wrong with my chart here right now? Because we haven't seen Tron in the top 10, and I can't tell you how long.
Held up well.
What's that?
It's held up very well. That's why. It's not that it's going up. It's just holding up well.
Interesting. Okay. Well, cool. That is the global market cap. As always, just as a reminder, smash the like and make sure that you're following Evan. Make sure that you're following Magic. I actually don't know why, but our names aren't coming up. I know there's a way to do it, but I'm not gonna fuss with it right now. Everybody knows who we are. Their links are in the chat, so make sure to give them a follow. All right, now let's dive into some technicals. Magic, I'm going to kick it off with you. Like I said, I've been gone for a couple weeks or whatever. Talk to me chart-wise, what's happening with Bitcoin as of right now, however you want to attack it. Talk to me about Bitcoin.
Sure. I'll just kick off with the chart share and we'll go from there.
Let's get it.
Really simple move here. So Q2 pivot was here. Those hit at a fairly decent click, depending on what exchange you look at, usually a little over 70%. So you had a pretty good idea that as price was moving down, you were going to see this low hit. And then it became a question of, are you going to reclaim the range, which for me was this blue box here, the April low and the yearly pivot. Okay. From there, you're looking for a full range rotation and a monthly backfill. And what I mean by that is once you're back above this blue box, this is your monthly candle, you're really targeting the backfill of this open, as generally there's going to be trapped traders up here that are going to be interested in price, and you can push up there and there's usually a good amount of liquidity as well. So that's why those levels will end up working out. And then from there, you just backfill the daily NPOC near your local top. So realistically, in my opinion, continuation in the short and medium term is probably the name of the game for Bitcoin, because the moment you start breaking down below this Q1 high, there are some statistical targets that are going to generate in the next 8 days that say we could retest this Q2 open around 28.4. But if you start living below this zone and make your way back in, I realistically don't know why we wouldn't come all the way back down and probably go through this blue box here again and test into like 25.9, 25.590. So you really do want to see price get going. Evan talked about a gap earlier. There is certainly a gap up here. It's on probably everyone's radar, and I think the only area to be aware of.
It's way up there, right? I mean,
it is way up there, but
or something, isn't it?
35,
it is, yeah, it's about 35K,
okay,
give or take. Let's see. Coordinates on it are 35,180 down to 34,455. So essentially, the start of this naked point of control from the daily candle back here on up. You know, what is that, like $700? Yeah, that's a big target for everyone. I do still think that if we make our way into this region, I'm still looking for 38,922, mainly just based on range rotations. So historical ranges can provide you quite a bit of information, especially if you categorize them correctly. And this would be one of those where once we're above 32K and living there, rarely does price not make the trip up to 38K. I believe that was a 2021 range, which actually led us to finding this bounce and then trading this pretty well as well. I believe it's right here. And we've talked about this before. And why this little blue box is important is, one, it is your Q1 low, which was a big low. And then you've got the top of this local range after about a 30% bounce. And then the point of control that came in as you were setting in these ranges down here and all this volume from last summer just kind of leads this to be an important area. But anytime you're above it, you can see you make the move fairly quickly through this zone. So if recovered, I would expect to see the gap filled. I think that's on a lot of people's radar. And when you have a very similar target, it usually does one of two things. It front runs it or blows through it. And I think you would see probably a move into like the 38 to 40,000 range at that time. But that's getting ahead of ourselves, because again, you got to have continuation right now.
Yeah. We got to continue to move. I mean, if we don't.
What was really interesting about the move, and this was the tip off, and it came and coincided with that news, is if you just look at like aggregated open interest, you can tell that as the move is coming down, it's actually falling off. So this is generally not a good sign for continuation through a level when you have open interest declining into it, right? And then you finally get a giant washout. That's what this yellow color is for right here. This is an over-exaggerated washout in terms of open interest. And then you can see open interest begins to pick up. And as price is moving up with open interest reclaiming important ground, that's what you want to see. You want to see a strong market. And so there was really no reason to be shorting this the entire way until you had, again, another large OI drop up here at the top. I think my entry for short was like 30,006 and some change. I've already taken profit on it twice. If I get stopped out of that trade, we're stopped out, because the moment I think we start living above 30,300 consistently, I do think that we'll try to make a new high over our previous high around 31K. So that's realistically all it's been. You know, you didn't really have any reason to get short on this move until you came into this old daily naked point of control, which we can remove from our charts now. So in terms of reversions, again, we just look towards the future a little bit. You can see that we do have some averages that are going to generate here soon. And these all hit pretty consistently. So it is one of those things that if you get that sign of reversal, you could be looking to this area to say, okay, are buyers interested in the session's last average of price? If they are, it'll usually be a bounce zone. If you don't get that interest in that level, that OI increase, what you want to see, you'll probably make the trip back down and we remain range bound. And then you do run the scenario of looking at this and saying, is this all just a back test of prior resistance right here? And this is all one giant range now, and we have to start looking at this in broader terms. And Evan alluded to a lot of volatility in big ranges, and that's certainly something Bitcoin's capable of. So doesn't mean go short. It just means, be cautious. These are, as we always say, it's always important on the chart, right? Every week's an important week, but there are some confirmations on the high time frame coming up, I think, that are going to really detail what's going to take place over the next quarter to half year for the price. So
that's good stuff, man. I didn't know what to expect when when I came back and saw some of the markets pumping. I heard some of the news and whatnot, but I didn't really know what to expect. Like, hey, is this just going to be one big fat fake out? Are we going to get everybody all amped up and then head back down, or continue to? So let me ask you this, just kind of a final question on that regard. Are you looking for anything as it relates to this week? Like, you want to see us close this week at a certain point to show more strength?
I would like to see the move, if it's going to continue up, I would like to see us within probably a week or two make the move for at least a new high if we're going to do that. But if we, dawdle around too much here and start dipping below some of these levels of support, you could find your way back into the range and cycling back down, so it is one of those things where, I would say in the next week or two, it's going to be fairly important. The dates I have that are pretty important coming up are between July 10th and the 20th.
Okay.
Just looking at symmetrical moves from prior cycles, I would say anywhere in the middle of July is probably going to be a pretty good inflection point for the market. So
good stuff. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you are following Evan and make sure you're following Magic. They are putting their time to the side to be here with you, working hard, making money on the back end, and trying to help you guys make some money, though albeit not giving financial advice. So chat, make sure to smash that like. We had about 50 people in here. Glad to see everybody. Glad to be back. Super excited about being back on the stream. It actually is nice to be back. Evan, let me ask you. So you not even just alluded to, you just flat out said, hey, lots of volatility, cool. So do you see any indicators? I know you're a big, you like to use Market Cipher a lot,
Right.
but are there any indicators or patterns forming that we should be aware of as it relates to trading?
Yeah, there's a few that I could show you right now. The main thing we could look here, let's just look at the weekly gap to RSIs. Now you're getting kind of the green dot here, which it's not going to be as strong as a green dot below the zero line typically, maybe definitely not as strong as this jump up or, something like there, a lot of these, but you are getting that possibility. So that could potentially, if this does confirm in 3 days, potentially be the case to come up a bit higher to that, that 35K area Magic was talking about. We do have 33K, which is there's a trend line there, and then you can do more stuff. And the 35K area just historically is pretty big too. If you zoom out a little bit here, so these are the big indications that I'm kind of looking at. The 3 week as well is just interesting. Let's go on a cleaner chart here. The 3 week is giving us this is more for the bearish case, is the blue triangle right there. This is around the top of this rally in June of 2019 right there. You got the blue triangle, then you came down a good amount. That's what I'm thinking is kind of still most likely, the thing we're going to have happen here, unless we do something like 2015, unless we do something like this and you just go parabolic into the US dollar and just keep going up. So it's, it's kind of dangerous to be, too heavy in Bitcoin and altcoins, and a little bit, dangerous not to have any at all, I would say right now. You could also get kind of pretty soon a trigger wave potentially here on the 3 week with money flow coming out, which could be a pretty bearish sign. And this could be really indicative of when this comes into the red as a potential double bottom in the next few months. Everything's kind of pointing to, for me, towards September, October, November being a potential higher low over here, and then starting the rally into the next happening. The other thing I want to show you that's interesting to look at is ETH versus Bitcoin, because this has bled quite a bit since since September of 2022, down about 26% so far. let's compare this a little bit to 2019 here as well. Keep in mind, all the markets bottomed out. ETH and Bitcoin both bottomed out in 2018, December of 2018. ETH didn't bottom out against Bitcoin until September of 2019. We're in kind of that area. And as you got to the second half of 2019 here, this is where ETH started really bleeding against Bitcoin as price came down. So if we do turn out more bearish and the market does come down, I could potentially see something of this nature kind of happening. It is a big bleed against Bitcoin, 0.03. That would be a big bleed against Bitcoin. I don't know if it's going to come down this much, but I just want to show you guys. I mean, altcoins have been really getting hammered right now. It wouldn't surprise me too much if we did come down around 40% against Bitcoin. But I think once we do come down in the next few months, that's going to be the place to really, I'm going to be starting to convert some of my Bitcoin over into ETH and just buying fresh ETH right there. And I think a lot of NFTs too, by the way, are going to really get hit hard as we're seeing some of them making lower lows. NFTs, altcoins, that's the thing too. Like if you're somebody who is going heavy into like, altcoins back here and what was it later 2022 heavy into altcoins, you may be in the red. But if you were going heavy into Bitcoin in later 2022, you would be doing extremely well because Bitcoin,
I think we're up like 78% or something on the year. I believe.
Oh yeah, we're up. I mean, if you look at from that low, I mean, we're still up 70% or more. Yeah. So that's pretty big. Yeah.
Good stuff. And so Evan, as it relates to all of that, is your short-term outlook more bearish or bullish, just kind of from what you're seeing overall?
Short-term, my main view, I'll show you right here on the chart of the short-term. So this is interesting. We've seen these patterns come up quite a bit here. I mean, you're seeing definitely some big things like Magic was talking about. As price is coming down, 30-minute could give you a trigger wave to the downside. The 22-minute right here could also give you a trigger wave to the downside. But what I've been telling people, like I opened actually a short, and then what I saw, I closed it out at kind of break even. I opened a short over here and we were breaking down. We had a technical target down here where I was going to take profits a little bit lower, and it was in the profit. And then we came back up, and now we got this trigger wave. So I closed it out for a tiny loss. And what I did, I still have a long. So it's all about hedging your bets from a trading perspective, and that's where it gets a little tricky. For sure. I had a long with locked-in profits that I took over here based on kind of this 4-hour money flow crossover, either here or here. I took it, and big trade. I added to that in profit. So I kind of made a risk-free long if we do pump back up to this area. Okay. This is the other area. So in these times, a lot of times what you see is a lot of people try to open shorts. And if they have liberal stop losses, usually you're okay. Usually, I mean, price doesn't go straight up. Usually you're going to hit, this point before you break up and hit over 32, most likely, or, 33. So if you have a liberal stop loss, you're probably okay. But a lot of times, especially as you come into the weekend here, these trigger waves, keep them in mind. You'll see wicks up and you'll see jumps up to this area. Another thing, and this is how I found the top on Shiba, how I found the top on Pepe. This is a little secret, hidden gem right here. Wait till you get the money flow coming out on the 4-hour and you get a bearish div on the 4-hour. I've seen this so many times. Wait till you have that on the 4-hour. Usually what'll happen before then, something like that. And then you get that wick up and get that bearish div there. As price makes a higher high, you get that bearish div. A lot of times that tells you the top. Not always, but a lot of times that's going to be a local top at least.
Yeah. There's so many different ways to quote skin a cat as it relates to trading. It's one of the reasons why when we talk about trading, you've just got to do it. You've got to be in it. You have to practice. You've heard these guys talk about time and time again. It didn't happen overnight. Magic didn't become a great trader in a week and a half of studying some charts, right? It's time and time and time again of endless playing. And when I say playing, obviously I'm talking about being active in their profession. And that's ultimately what it comes down to. So if anybody out there is trading, risk versus reward, obviously risk tolerance and understanding and having that game plan are all incredibly important. Be smart and learn from these guys for sure. All right. So Magic, let me ask you, was there any sort of an indicator? I know you're just a charts guy, really. Was there any sort of an indication that this was imminent, or did it just surprise us?
I think it caught a lot of people off guard, but it was also one of those things where in terms of what you got when we bounced, like you had a swing fail, you had the big drop in OI with new, positions changing hands essentially at the bottom. So there was an indication. It gave people like 2 days essentially to figure out what was going on. And yeah, I mean, from a charts standpoint, yes, obviously there was good news as well. I mean, we're going to attribute to that, but
yeah.
Um,
But there was some actual indicators on there.
Yeah,
that said, hey,
yeah, there were other things that were letting you know it was a good idea to get long, because again, you just mentioned it, risk to reward. You have to think. You have a really clear invalidation at that support, and so you have a stop loss, and you have a really big upside potential. So even putting, you know, minimum risk in there, 1% would have paid dividends had you had a plan in advance. Because for us, target was at least 29,237 if we reclaimed the range. And you got to think, if you're getting long in the 25, 26K region, that's a sizable move, you know,
especially with a little leverage.
Yeah, a little leverage doesn't hurt either, as long as you're still abiding by the risk principles. But yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where it just made sense. It was the best trade at the time.
Okay.
So
interesting. Again, I wasn't paying any sort of attention, so I was curious if maybe, you know, we talk about how, you know, what's the saying? You show me the chart, I'll tell you the news. I was just kind of curious as to whether there was some indicators there. So that's good stuff. All right, so hey, let me just take a brief pause. If you haven't already smashed the like, smash the like. Follow both of these creators. They're putting out the alpha for you. I want to jump into the chat real quick, and I want to toss a couple questions at you guys. So first one is from Crypto Future. So do we think this is a bull trap?
I mean, I'm short, just in case.
Okay, I'm short just in case.
It was just a good trade.
I mean, I don't have a crystal ball.
Right.
Don't get mad at me if I'm wrong, but I think in all likelihood, it probably is a bull trap. I mean, you still have slowing of the economy. The Fed just said they're at least going to raise 1 or 2 more times. If you look at history, second half of 2019, you came down. Also, when ETH bottomed against Bitcoin, you were coming down towards that area. So it would be pretty shocking to me if we just keep coming up with Bitcoin and ETH just gets left in the dust. I mean, it's possible. That's what Michael Saylor said was going to happen, but he's obviously not always right.
No, he's definitely been wrong a time or two before. I'm actually going to use Crypto Futures question on the second one. Do we think we can still go back down to 20, or do we think that that time has gone and passed?
I think it's possible. Yeah. I mean, anything is possible in this market.
Oh,
especially
no doubt.
With what he was just talking about too, is like after, you know, everybody's saying they're going to pause rates, right? That's traditionally not a bullish thing. After they pause, the markets actually do usually tumble. So if that's the case and you have traditional market hitting pretty important resistance right now, I mean, if those markets remain correlated, because I know we're all dreaming of the day that Bitcoin is no longer affected by, you know, traditional markets, but until that day is here, we won't really know. I mean, we can all speculate, but every bull run or every bear market, someone says that's going to happen, and it never does. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible. Like I said, I'm still exposed long, but I haven't opened any like new spot positions or anything like that since the 16.6 entry. I've been pretty patient, just holding on to those until I get some kind of a confirmation I need to close it. So, am I going to sell the top of the rally? No, but I'm certainly not going to miss out on any of it either. So.
But we would all love to buy the bottom and sell the top. But that is a fictitious idea. That's not a real thing. So for whoever told you that, it's not a real thing.
It occasionally does happen. And
you just
definitely pat yourself on the back. It's just not expectation, you know?
No doubt. So Evan, is this, do you believe that this is the start of the bull run? You kind of alluded to earlier, maybe a September, October thing, but kind of tell me more. Is this possibly the start of the bull run, or is this just a blip on the radar and it's kind of around because of the news, and it's just, you know, going to keep people interested for right now because things have been freaking boring?
Yeah, I think it's more the latter, definitely. I mean, it depends how you define sort of the bull run. If you're defining just Bitcoin bottoming out, if you think 15K was the bottom, which there's obviously a very, very strong argument to make 15K being the bottom, then yes, I mean, we've technically been in the bull run for a while if you're considering it like that. For a parabolic bull run to keep going, I'd be very surprised. I think that in all likelihood, we will come down. I think traditional markets will come down as well. Where could we go? I mean, historically, I just want to show you really quick on the chart. I mean, let's just look at historically what's always happened. I mean, look at where I've drawn it out here. This bear market was a double bottom. There was January of 2015. Then this was August of 2015. So later that year was essentially a double bottom. Okay. Here was also a double bottom. That was, let's see, over a year later. And then if it extends even more, we could see, oh man, that would be pretty interesting. We do see the double bottom sometime in 2024. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's most likely going to be sometime towards the end of the year. Remember, Bitcoin does typically bottom out before the S&P 500, but it's always been a double bottom. My main guess here is like 20K, 18K, 17K are big areas Where I drew right now, this fictitious line is kind of the imaginary 400 weekly moving average. I drew where I would estimate that would be because Bitcoin's always bottomed out at a major weekly moving average. Here was the 200. This was the 200 right here. The pandemic was the 300. That pattern would maybe bring us to the 400, and that would be somewhat of a double bottom, maybe 17, 18K. That's my main guess. So we'll see.
I want to know, actually, I want to jump into the chat one more time. I want to just get your guys' opinion on this thing. It's a good question. So I'm trying to get more involved with the chat. So chat, keep firing them out there. Stay engaged. We love you. We appreciate you. Would you trade 250? I'm going to weigh in on this one too. Would you trade 250K or would you invest 250? Now, let me go ahead and start with this one. Okay. I am definitely investing the 250K. Do you know why? Well, because I bring these gentlemen onto the show because I don't trade so well. So I think the real question is, do you know how to trade, right? Are you comfortable? Are you confident? Do you have a game plan? Are you set up as we talked about earlier? Like, what's your risk tolerance look like? Is 250K everything that you have? Or is that just, excuse me, or is that just a small portion of what you have? So I think there's a lot more that needs to be said there. But I would pose this or state it this way. If the 250K was everything that I had, I think that I would be cautious in the way that I did invest it, because I do believe that we still have some pain to come. And if you need that, like we talk about all the time, if you need that to pay bills, heck no, don't be tossing that into the market just to see what happens. If you don't, and again, we're not here to give financial advice, we're just kind of talking as friends, right? If you don't need it and it is 250K that you have available and you're willing to be patient, I think you have a huge opportunity that's relatively safe long-term in, all surprise, surprise, Bitcoin and Ethereum, if nothing else. There's a lot of other options out there as well. You could go into traditional markets, but traditional markets have absolutely been a scary topic as of recently. And well, not just as of recently, just overall, the whole, financial system. Addison wants to come and say hello to everybody. We are no longer supporting Ledger, so she's not here to tell you to get a Ledger hardware wallet. She's here to say, what are you here to say? What do you want to tell people? Can you say hi? You don't want to say hi today? You just got up from your nap and you just want to look cute? Addison wanted to say that you should be your own bank and actually control your own keys, and don't jump into something like Ledger at this point, because they ultimately gave a little backdoor to themselves to pass out all of your keys possibly at some point. So Addie just wanted to say hi and support the channel. Mwah. I love you. I love you. Say bye-bye.
She's getting big.
I know, dude.
Growing up fast.
And it's funny, she's not talking right now, but that's about all that she does at this point. Yeah. It's just talk. I actually got her a side note. I got her a Portuguese book, and she talks really well. They asked at the doctor if she could like put 2-word sentences together. I'm like, 2 words? She's putting like 6-word sentences together at this point. She's like incredibly, I know everybody thinks their son or daughter is smart, but like, she's way advanced for the stuff after talking to the doctor about the stuff that she does. So I get this book in Portuguese, and I'm not kidding you. They tell you to start kids off with language, early. I started reading these animals, the name of these animals in English, and then having her repeat it in Portuguese. And in one day, ultimately, right away, she was able to repeat it. And in one day, I asked her yesterday, hey, baby, how do you say pig in Portuguese? And she goes, porco. And I'm like, holy mackerel. Like, she literally within one day was able to remember how to say pig in a different freaking language. So yeah, being a dad is fun. It's great. And yeah, that's the other beautiful thing about my life right now is my daughter. All right, sorry for the sidetrack there. All right, let's keep it rocking. Let's keep it rocking. Chat, smash that like if you haven't already. Magic, tell me what you're looking for as it relates to bearish or bullish confirmations as we come towards, let's just talk like maybe the end of this week. Bearish, bullish, what's each of the kind of confirmation that you might be looking for?
Right now, locally, just like 30,000, 313 is a level that I'm looking at.
Okay.
I'd like to look above there.
That's the bullish if we hold that.
Yeah. Bearish is realistically living below. It's a zone kind of, but yeah, anywhere below about 29K. If you really start living there and you're getting rejection, you're not making any any attempt
headway?
to reclaim the level, then yeah,
Uh-huh.
I'd start looking like, okay, I'm going to hold this short for a
Okay.
while potentially.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, that's it. Those are the two levels. It's pretty basic right now, which
Okay.
is really nice. We all like that, right?
I was about to say I like basic as it relates
Yeah.
to that. If I kind of have a set couple targets that I can look at, it's
Yeah.
simple is better for me. Evan, you've been making you had been talking, you've been on the show obviously a number of times, and you had been making some moves or talking about making some moves related to ETH and speculating that at some point it might be a better opportunity for your money to, maybe move some stuff into ETH as we move into this next bull run. Can you walk through that with me as like almost like an option for some people that maybe are like, hey, I don't want to have everything in Bitcoin. And do I have an opportunity? Because I don't want to go into meme coins. Maybe just kind of explain what you were talking about there.
So yeah, I mean, ultimately, I'll show you on my ETH versus Bitcoin chart right here.
Okay.
I mean, so let's say, you've been just buying Bitcoin
Okay.
since, September of 2022 instead of like ETH, you're just buying Bitcoin. You
Okay.
would have, if you were to convert it over to ETH right now, you'd have 27% more ETH than you would have had if you were, buying ETH back here.
Okay.
Also, you have double blood diamonds. Money flow looks like it wants to come deeper on the weekly. It looks like it wants to come deeper on the 2-week. Historically, ETH has bled a lot against Bitcoin, especially in the last accumulation phase into September of 2019. We're getting close to September of 2023, and maybe that same opportunity there. We all know that probably Bitcoin, I mean, unless you think it's going up to 300 grand or something really high, you're not going to make like a crazy killing with Bitcoin in the next bull run. But for Ethereum, there's definitely, and I could show you where
You're
I
saying
think
just based on the fact that the market cap is so high,
yeah,
it would have to make such a huge move, or you would have to have such a large number invested in Bitcoin to make that crypto money is what you're saying, right?
yeah, I don't think you could get a 10x
Okay.
from
Gotcha.
30K. I don't think you're going to get a 10x.
Yeah,
So
I agree
at
with you.
least not in buying power. Maybe
Yeah.
inflation will give you that, but at least not in
$3
buying.
million and a cheeseburger, folks, is
Yeah.
$852 at McDonald's.
Yeah. So, I mean, ultimately, I think ETH could get up to this is my kind of where I circled where you may be able to hit for ETH sometime in 2025, around 9K, 8K, somewhere around there.
Okay.
If you were to come down, hopefully we'll come down to 1,200 at least for ETH in the next few months or something. If you were to come down that much and then pump up there, you could get at least 600%, 700%. If we come down lower, you could potentially get a 10x. And I think ETH is going to do what it's done during the last bull run here. Since September of 2019, you were home free, and you would have got, even from at the top, 400% of what you would have gotten buying Bitcoin. Say it's half of that, 200%. That could be a good trade, especially if we come down this low. What I'm going to do, start converting some Bitcoin into Ethereum at these points. The other thing that you could look to do here is the Bitcoin dominance has been very bullish. We're hitting a fib level. If you think fib levels mean anything for a chart like this, but we're hitting 51%. We hit it. That's a technical target. We have another technical target up at 56%. That's my magic area that we may hit around September, October. That's where ETH could bottom against Bitcoin, just like it did over here in September of 2019. We jumped up 24% there. If you look at, I think it was on the 2-week chart here in terms of money flow. Right when we crossed from red to green here, you got around that 24% jump up. If we do that same thing from where we are now, that's a high. That's 63. I don't know if you're going to get that high, but I think you could at least jump up another 10% for Bitcoin dominance. And just, look at some of these like altcoin Bitcoin pairs here. They've gotten demolished. Cardano Bitcoin since September of 21 is now down 84%. Just imagine that. You would have 84% less Bitcoin if you bought Cardano instead of Bitcoin back there. So
that's crazy because so many people now, again, long term, does Cardano have, as of right now, much more probably upside potential than Bitcoin? Yeah, just strictly because of the ability to move market cap wise. But it is crazy to me that the largest asset in the crypto space is, and it's historically done this, but ultimately that nothing has really kept up with it at all, really, to speak of, besides a few, outliers or whatever. So many people hold so firm to these long-term altcoin holds, and I don't see any problem with it. I'm one of them. I do it as well, right? But I also, when I continue to stack, I'm stacking Bitcoin and Ethereum. And that's just for me what my goal is. My goal is to stack more ETH. My goal is to stack more Bitcoin, because that's where my true belief lies long term. So I'm trying not to laugh through that comment. Sorry, folks. We do have a private chat as well, but Magic is you a character, bro. That's funny. All right, so let me ask you, Magic. Speaking of Magic, if BlackRock gets a spot ETF approved, right?
Sure.
How do you see it impact? So let's say it gets approved. How does it impact the charts, and does it change anything for you as the way that you trade, or will that be something impacting the charts in which you'll be saying, hey, you know what? Yeah, I'll take a look at that.
It doesn't really impact the way that I approach Bitcoin, because somebody had asked earlier about investing or trading 250K. And even really good traders will make sure that they're not trading all of their money or capital. Right. They'll invest a pretty large portion of it, which I do. I do invest, believe it or not, guys. I know I'm like a degenerate that gets like 100 trades a month sometimes, but a lot of my money goes into investing too, because you can't be risk on all the time. So in that regard, let me clear this chart off a little bit, and we'll.
I think you still got my chart up.
Oh, do I? My bad.
Oh, I haven't even tried to share it yet. I've got so much stuff on there.
Yeah, but I do have Evan's chart up still. It was just so beautiful, Evan. So well structured and drawn. I just wanted to keep it up there on
Cardano getting destroyed. Yeah,
let people just eat that up and soak in the Cardano, the Cardano family. All right, Magic, what you got?
Let's go to log if we can. Where did they get rid of the logs button again down here? That's gonna drive me insane. Anyways. We're looking at the chart, and you'd asked this like several weeks ago, where you said, fundamentally, what does it matter to me? It kind of does. Strong fundamentals are represented in strong charts, and when you look at the Bitcoin chart, this is literally just straight up, whether you want to admit it or not. Over a 10-year period, not many assets do this. Yeah. So if they get an ETF, I expect the trend to continue, and it really doesn't push me to, I guess, diversify away from cryptocurrency in terms of Bitcoin and like maybe some other, diamonds like Ethereum, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I approach it. If that got approved, I would look at this as just another bullish event in a series of long bullish events. Yeah. And I would say that we're probably going to make a new high, and it just makes me want to be exposed to the asset even longer until I have a reason not to be at that point. So
that is a wild chart, bro. Bitcoin's been around for what, 13, 14 years now.
Yeah.
It's literally just
all of it straight up. And so it is one of those things where what would be concerning is if the ETF is like, let's say it's not approved and price reverses, where do we become concerned is right about here, making a new low. So as Evan had pointed out, I do think the low is likely in. Yeah. But if for some reason something happens and you make a lower low, you begin to target almost back into this range. Like it gets pretty nasty. And at that point, you start looking at it going, man, what's going on in traditional land? Like what's going on in the nation? Are things looking bad? Yeah. So
should I be breathing the air outside after
you probably got bigger problems if Bitcoin's going back to like 10K. There's probably something bad going on somewhere else. But
no
it is
doubt
one of
about
those
that.
things where, the ETF, it's just, again, like this is an asset that people always ask me why I'm not, I wouldn't say I'm a maximalist, but like when it comes to investing, Bitcoin is very heavy when it comes to crypto. Like we're talking investing, not trading. And if you're trading these other assets, a lot of times you're just trading them because you want more capital or you want to be able to invest more in something like this. Because you're not buying Pepe for an investment. You're not buying Bitcoin Cash for an investment. Yeah. The only people I know buying some of these shit coins for investments are the XRP army, which they're still waiting to pay off on.
Hey, watch it.
And I guess Cardano's got a really great community as well. And I don't really have opinions on either one. I'll trade either one of them. Cardano never hit my box, as you know. It got pretty close. I'm still waiting for that elusive 18.2 cent. But XRP did hit my target, and I've traded it back up to resistance, and I still hold some of that position. I've been sitting in an XRP long for months. And if it hits my targets, I'll take profits, and I don't really care what happens after that. But the moment we get past the halving, kind of like Evan was saying, and Bitcoin dominance does eventually start to fall off and altcoins can have their run, yeah, I will rotate into, you know, altcoins and trade a little more. But yeah, I mean, as far as ETF goes, that's really good for Bitcoin. It may even give Bitcoin more of the market share. We don't know what would happen in that instance just yet, but it might not be great for some of the altcoins.
I was literally about to say that exact same thing. We don't know what will happen as a result. What we do know is that, you know, the traditional markets are already here. The big players are getting in, whether they're telling you they are or not, whether they advertise it or whether they don't. They're here. Crusader and I were talking earlier today about just kind of what's going on just macro wise with the crypto markets. And he was just kind of saying that, like, hey, listen, I think that the SEC and I think that the government just knows at this point Bitcoin's too big, it's gone too far to fail. And what they've realized is that they can FUD it all they want. They can try to say we're going to regulate it into an oblivion. They could say we're going to declare everything securities, this, that, and the third. And ultimately what's happened, it's freaking held up like really, 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 really strong. And so at this point, it's like, okay, now they're filing for all these ETFs. Well, why would they be doing that? Now they've been doing it, right? There's been the Grayscale ETF, denied. But now you get BlackRock, who basically runs the freaking world, applying for this, right? That has to be a good sign. It just has to be, because I can't think that BlackRock would apply for this thinking that they're not going to get it. And so is it an indicator of a time at which? I don't know. I don't know what the timeline was or when they have. Does anybody know? Do you guys know what a lot of times there's like a certain time?
The deadline is in March for the SEC to approve it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So think about that. Right before the halving, then we get the information that, let's just say, BlackRock gets approved for a spot ETF. I can't think of a more bullish narrative for what's happening there. But what you started to say is what I was thinking. Okay, now there's all of this other money that maybe otherwise wasn't flooding in, because the moment that ETF gets approved, and this is what people aren't thinking about, or maybe some are, but all of these financial advisors that have been telling people, I can't really suggest that you get into Bitcoin. It's just not something that we do. Guess what? That narrative changes, because BlackRock is the largest, and they're full on saying, hey, we support what's going on here, or at least support the idea that you should be able to put your money here. How do the altcoins get affected by that? You know what I mean?
I have friends that are wealth advisors here in the Kansas City area. They manage quite a bit of money. Yeah. And they've told me that their clients have actually been asking about getting exposure to crypto for quite some time, and they're still kind of like on the fence about it. But they said if they do, she said it's probably only going to be Bitcoin. Yeah. So when that money hits, it's But if those people, we'll call them the elite, the rich, whatever you want to call it, if they really want exposure to Bitcoin, they can get it. Like they can go buy it. Now, are they going to try to buy millions of dollars worth of it on their Cash App? Probably not. At least I would hope not. But so
jump on a Cash App, bro. Just grab yourself $1 million.
Than what we have now, because I think right now we're working off Grayscale, which is not great. So it's one of those things where an ETF would be great for that.
For sure. So Evan, let me kind of round. I have a few questions for you guys here at the end. I know we're kind of getting close on time here, but hey, it's been a little while, so we're gonna spend an extra couple minutes. Crypto markets, as we're talking about in relation to traditional markets, right? They've always seemed to follow traditional markets. We're hoping for the day that doesn't happen. But is there anything going on in the traditional markets right now that you're keeping a close eye on? And if so, what is it? Why?
Yeah, so I'll show you my chart right here on the S&P 500. If I could just get it up real quick.
Right, man, that's a good one there, Evan. I like that.
Yeah, I get the innuendo. That's what she said. You got some gapped RSIs right here, which a lot of times, I mean, they don't always tell you the top. And I mean, the same thing what Magic was saying about Bitcoin. I mean, this guy just always kind of goes up generally, over time, whether it's, printing more money or what reason it is. But yeah, I mean, you're getting kind of that area, gapped RSIs. I mean, with the Fed, as long as they, going to raise one or two more times, the slowing of the economy, there's a lot of reasons to believe that this would see somewhat of a pullback. Yeah. Also, I just want to draw a fib level and see if we are kind of still around that big area right there. If we lose this big area over here, you may come down a decent amount more. I would say that also on the macro here, on the 2-week, money flow is coming down quite a bit. It was looking, I mean, especially with this weekly, with the trigger wave right there, we did come down, but you just didn't get what you wanted to get for a recession here. Because here, obviously, this was that wasn't a recession. That was kind of what happened here. Essentially, a repeat of very similar to essentially a repeat of what happened in 2015. Just came down. Now you're kind of recovering. But really, when we come into the red in the weekly right here, this is what you saw in this recession, and then in 2001, what you saw in this recession back here. So I don't know. I was traditionally a lot more bearish on the S&P 500, but the other thing that we should really look at, I just want to show you, S&P 500 versus M2 money supply is really freaking interesting here, because look at how far we really are. We're back to, pre-pandemic numbers, if you really like factor in that.
Oh yeah.
And that's probably like, if we just go back to the regular chart in terms of probably buying power where you are right now, I mean, it's not an exact science, but in terms of buying power from your all-time, you're down 25% from where we are now. From your all-time high, you're down 30%. If you really factor in this whole drop down, that was 30% plus another 20%. You really had, in terms of buying power, a 50% correction, which is very typical of recessions. So you could kind of make the argument that we went into a recession. S&P 500 did crash 50% if we didn't print all this damn money. Right. And now we're starting to recover a bit. So yeah.
Basically, we've been, and I think everybody knows this, we've been artificially propping up our economy by printing money. And the problem with that is obviously it devalues your dollar more and more and more and more. And now, without getting into politics too much, we ultimately are looking at possibly, losing the petrodollar. Like, things are shaky. And with things being, they're more than shaky. We have problems, and we have the BRICS nations stacking up on gold. They're trying to move away from the dollar. There's a lot of uncertainty. And the reality is, and people need to understand this, the reality is, if the United States does lose its world reserve currency status, or even looks to be like really threatened in that regard, everything is going to suffer. That's just a fact. And so I always like to have some wide range of diversification as it relates to portfolios. That's part of the reason why I do love Bitcoin as well, is because it is, in my estimation, the only hard sound money at this point. It does take energy, which does cost money to be able to mine it. You are actively doing something, and the return on it is sound hard money, and the cap's not going to change. So nobody can mess with it and play with it and artificially do what they're doing, which is artificially propping up, because you can only artificially prop something up so long before all of a sudden, wow, there's nothing else that can hold it. And so my concern has just been, what's the final straw that breaks the camel's back going to be? And are we going to see it anytime soon, or are they going to continue to artificially pump things up? So I guess we'll find out. We're obviously in the markets all day, every day. So we will be on the cutting edge, and we will tell you here at Debate Crypto if we see something going on. Crypto fans, smash that like if you haven't already. Make sure that you're following Evan. Make sure that you're following Magic Internet Money. They are always working hard for you, and we appreciate them for being here. All right, so just a couple quick ones. We're gonna fire through these. Magic, I'll start with you. Big move to the upside coming, or fake out?
I had, if we were going to continue to upside, it was actually middle of July was when that was going to be topping out. So if we get that one push, I would be pretty happy. So I'm more exposed long at this point from lower than I am short right now. So I'd prefer up, but that's just me.
Okay, cool. What are your thoughts, Evan?
I would guess fake out. I would guess that we would come down. I mean, look, it's still Bitcoin season. It doesn't affect my strategy. It's still time to accumulate DCA into Bitcoin. For me, not getting into alts just yet. So either way, I think I'm going to be prepared. So you got it. It's more of a question of what are you going to do if this happens, whether black and white. So
that's kind of some of the motto in trading, right? Having that game plan and knowing what am I doing in this situation? What am I doing in this situation? Having that plan laid out. All right. So any interesting alts that either of you are keeping a look on? If you're going to give me one, just toss me one, just an interesting alt that maybe you're looking at.
Polkadot.
Polkadot. Why Polkadot?
I won't do XRP because I've been covering that one nonstop for a while.
Why Polkadot?
It's come back into a level that ironically we gave on your show like a long time ago, and it's still there. So Polkadot. Yeah, so this was actually my buy zone previously. This was a naked point of control from a monthly range over here, along with a nice level. And then you have your swing failure level down here is more of like a worst case scenario is if we lose 376, I'm probably just looking to explore the bottom here. You've come back into support as Bitcoin is, doing its thing. So this was a secondary opportunity for me. That's what I stated as we were coming down into it, to buy again. And realistically, going straight back to the averages of price, I'm looking somewhere around 531. So getting to buy again between 438 and 419 after swing failing this low. I'm looking to take it back up to here. So again, these are just trading ideas. I'm not necessarily buying these to hodl. Right. I wouldn't mind holding something like Polkadot inside of like an alt positive bull market, but we're not quite there yet, as Evans alluded to. But you do have to start looking at this saying, is the bottom in for some of these alts, like these big caps, especially? We'll call Polkadot a big cap. If we don't break through this zone, you have to look at this as a giant range. And if you're a range trader, it's great if you can just compartmentalize and go, okay, I should be buying when there's value, which is down here, and selling when there's resistance, which could be up here, could be somewhere in the middle, however you want to do it, and take profit, and then just wash, rinse, repeat, and only be buying when certain criteria is met. Like, hey, we're at support, Bitcoin's doing well. I wouldn't mind exposing myself to this asset a little bit, because even though Bitcoin is going to outperform in dominance, this one actually, I think, went up pretty close to what Bitcoin did on its pull. So even off the high to low here, Bitcoin went, I think it was 76 or 78%. This went 86. So altcoins certainly are still going to perform okay, and you can still take those trades. And the reason I bring that up is sometimes you don't get a clean entry on something like Bitcoin. You miss the move or something. Well, then you can come over here and you can say, well, I've got a great setup on Polkadot and I can get similar returns. I'm going to take that trade. But it's just a trade at that point. You have to kind of understand that until they turn that corner, it is just a trade. But it's just the thought process behind it. So that's how I see it. And that was kind of the interesting one of the week for me that had the opportunity. So
Polkadot, you heard it here first, ladies and gents. Again, not financial advice, but that's an interesting one maybe to look at and see if it see if it tickles your fancy. Evan, you have one that you're looking at?
Avalanche right here on my chart I like, and it's kind of a lot of the same reasons that matter. The same, it looks pretty similar to Polkadot in certain ways. I mean, you had your previous big bottom back in 2021. You just made a lower bottom. From here, it's a double bottom pattern. I mean, you have money flow coming up on the 3-day right here. Not to say that you can't come lower. I do think, like I've been saying, if we do come lower for this, these gapped RSIs are going to come together. And then you're going to be looking at potentially a bullish div that we may see in September, October. If you do make a lower low, potentially $9, or I mean, who knows, maybe even lower like that, especially if Bitcoin goes back to 20K. I just can't imagine Polkadot and AVAX will keep their local bottoms in June if Bitcoin goes back to low 20s, in my opinion. But it's one I'm really keeping my eye on. I'm not going to buy it yet, but the thing here for a lot of these is I just don't really see them going down more than like another 50% probably, which in the world of alts isn't that bad in terms of the volatility. So, if you're somebody who's really, really freaking trigger happy and you have to buy alts and gamble right now, AVAX could be one of them.
Could be one to look at.
Could be one of them too.
Both of those assets are, though coincidentally for me anyway, assets that long term I like to be holding. I've got a little bit of Avalanche and a little bit of Polkadot. Not enough of either, but hey, do we ever have enough of any assets that we believe in long term? Yeah, probably not. Everybody wants to accumulate more. But those are two assets that I feel like are going to do well, that I don't think are going anywhere. That are doing some positive things in the crypto space. Well, speaking of positive things in the crypto space, fam, it was a great show today. Evan and Magic, thank you guys for coming on as always. Really appreciate you guys. Anything you guys want to plug? Anything you guys got going on right now that you want to draw attention to for the 60 people in the house?
Oh man, check out my Discord, free Discord community. There's a premium one too. Check out the YouTube channel, Twitter. Do a lot of live streams, some live trading and analysis. I think it's going to help you guys out.
Dope. Magic?
Pretty much the same, man. We'll be live, I believe, tomorrow morning, actually, right around 9 a.m. Central Time. So go live. We do live trading as well. And then we offer like a 1-week free trial to the Discord, gets you into the academy, all that stuff, so you can access everything. So there's no gatekeeping right out the gate. So
Awesome. Yeah, definitely jump in there. Check both of those out. They got some good stuff going on. And I know a lot of people have been able to make some really good money off of learning, off of starting to take that journey into technical analysis, which is why we bring them on here. So Crypto Fam, we love you. We appreciate you for being here. Just remember to question everything, trust nothing. And until next time, hodl like it's hot. We will see you soon. Thanks, gents.